Next up is an optional step, but it's one I want to spend a couple of minutes on. You see, once SQL Server is installed, it won't just be running as one piece. As I mentioned before, it will really be running in the background as several different components, and the recommended best practice is that each of these components has its own unique identity, that it runs under an account that was created just for that piece. Now, it's certainly arguable that you don't need to go to all this trouble when setting up a simple development SQL Server, that you can just give them all the same account. But I want to show this process. So I'm going to go ahead and set up 5 accounts. One for the core database engine, one for the part of SQL Server called the SQL Server agent, and that handles a lot of background jobs and processes to keep everything running. And 3 for the big chunk pieces, reporting services, analysis services, and integration services. While there are a couple of other components of SQL Server that could have their own accounts, like full text search and the SQL browser, I'm going to use one of the built-in low privilege accounts on this machine when it comes to the install. So I'm on Windows 7. I'm going to go to the entry for my computer, right-click it and select Manage. This might be a little different if you're on another operating system. I'm going to expand my local users and groups. Now, this machine that I'm on is not connected to a domain, so I'm just creating local users. I need to create 5 accounts here. I'll right-click, say New User, and make the first one. I'll call this one SQL Engine. We'll give it a password, whatever you want there. This is not a real user, so they can't change the password at the next logon. So I'm going to uncheck that and select that for our purposes, password never expires is okay. And click Create. And I'm just going to repeat the process for the other 4 accounts. Now, it doesn't matter what the names are. It's just useful if when you're later looking at these, you can recognize why a particular account was set up in the first place. So I now have my 5 accounts ready to go. And you'll see that during the install, I will have a chance to plug these into the right places. I don't need to make any security changes to these accounts, as the SQL Server install will grant any necessary privileges during that install procedure.